streets, like it was kind of like mandatory because if you're the only one eating, you know what I'm saying. Ultimately, you're gonna get hunted by your own because like you're the only one shining too as well. So my thing was to alleviate all of the pressure. I'm gonna let my people get rich first. So and believe it or not, like all of my cats were millionaires before I ever was one. You know what I'm saying? And it was in a short time span, but it's just the fact that with me understanding, the laws of life and hustling, I just knew if I put my people on first, it'd be effortlessly easy for me to benefit from, just them being in position with me having an outlet or a connect. So I say, it was easy for me to benefit, from me putting them on first. And that's
Right.
what I did. And I was able to, accumulate a mass amount of money in no time, like 6 months. Let me start with my first initial connect. But and then just like I say, it's a great thing because I watch his trailblazing now, where he reconstructed that same hustle. You know what I'm saying? Into researching the laws. That then put so many of us away as far as the cannabis business, and he then created laws. You know what I'm saying? And ways opportunity. For just our culture. You know what I'm saying? To not only like like break away. Like a lot of the things that he had done has been bringing people home just off who's been incarcerated on campus. A lot of people that have got life from these campus laws. You know what I'm saying? And from what he's been doing, a lot of people not only just been coming home, but they're able to come home and get a piece of the pie just by them being a felon. You know what I'm saying? In just the area of marijuana. Like if you got a felony conviction, you're able to get a license and some more stuff, and that's unheard of any of us, our culture being able to get anything. You know what I'm saying? From
Yeah.
that's gonna bring in a lot of money, a lot of revenue, a lot of position. You know what I'm saying? A status. So he's made a way to where that felons who've been charged or convicted under marijuana, you know what I'm saying, can come home and actually get a license.
And
Incredible.
yeah,
That's just
that's
incredible.
incredible. Yeah, and it's really incredible. Not to mention, in different states, the legalization of marijuana is starting to take place, and in California, of course, where he was based,
Man, what's up?
he definitely was able to, pioneer that the laws and being part of identifying and directing some of them laws, but as well now it's starting to make its way over towards the east, and it, like for example, Michigan being a state that has recently become, legalized both medicinal and recreational, and being able to give some insight to the laws that happen in California in areas like Michigan to help those people who are felons and those people who are uh, fit to be able to receive those those opportunities that the government is starting to lend and give people who have been in that business or who have been victimized by being able to just be a marijuana entrepreneur before it was legal, and them being able to get into position to be able to continue that and actually feed their family in a significant way, unlike any 9 to 5 job or unlike anything they're unfamiliar with. But man, and the one thing is that what people don't understand is that when you are an entrepreneur, whether it be illegally or legally, you are still an entrepreneur. And
Not only that,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead, no, go.
And not only that though, man, like marijuana, cannabis is really therapeutic too. So you got a lot of people that use cannabis, you know what I'm saying, for health reasons. But this covers the whole board. Like if you a hustler or health, you know
Yeah,
what I mean, you able to benefit from the fruits of your labor and your need or your habit.
absolutely.
So if you like getting money, you know what I mean, it's gonna benefit. If you need it for help, it's gonna benefit. You know what I mean? If
Yeah,
it's a habit of you hustling, like you just gonna benefit all the way around the board. So like he's made it to whereas that like, and that's all that we ever try to do. And we try to take, you know what I'm saying, our past experiences, trials, and waste adversity and error of our past, and try to build a bridge. Especially if we didn't figure it out half part way, we try to build a bridge for the people who you know what I'm saying, coming across that's been through some of the same, things. So, with us being able to build a bridge, man, and it's just a hell of a way that he's been able to, build a bridge for a person who's come home, who's lost everything, because people have life behind these type of cases.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't have nothing but the idea, the people that they were dealing with before it passed. You know what I mean? So they come home with really nothing and not an opportunity ever. You know what I'm saying? So now people who've been incarcerated for marijuana can come home and have an opportunity and actually lie to give other people opportunities who can't benefit from, the case. You have people that went to jail for drugs. You know what I'm saying? Just straight cocaine or heroin or meth who can't benefit from it, but they can align themselves with somebody who went to jail with marijuana. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
team up and establish some kind of foundation.
Absolutely.
To share with one another. You know what I mean? So it's just all about, knowing how to network. And let me like, I gotta give mad respect to, that gentleman that they called him twin. We was both together. We were 6 years together. And Lorette was named Silk. I see he's on here.
What's up, Silk? What's up?
You know what I mean? Great dude, powerful dude, smart as fuck. You know what I mean? I shall Sean, remember I know I talked about him that you might see him on visit when you came. You know what I'm saying? Visit me. But for the most part, man, like it's just great, man. It's trailblazing doing, and even though I'm trailblazing, I've been able to figure out a bridge. Somebody want to talk to me about life, balance, structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Love. You know what I mean? Business. I've been able to do that. But as far as creating a fucking law, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Benefits people that immediately come home. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like even though you may not can benefit from this, all you gotta do is align yourself with somebody that you know that with your marijuana that you can align yourself with. You know what I'm saying? And then build a bridge to this lifeline that he's created for us, man.
Yeah.
So, again, man, what he's done, man, is great.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree. And hats off to him. I want to also say, and I want to reiterate the fact that what I enjoy is that iron sharpens iron. And while he has an opportunity and has been creating an opportunity and doing what he's doing, it's always refreshing to find somebody who can add from their perspective something to you. Like he added to your perspective, you are adding to his perspective as well. And then together those perspectives can be enormous as far as where they can go. Absolutely.
I understand that.
Yes. Speaking of which, you gave a great segue into one of the topics that I got here tagged up, which is DJ Akademics. Now I ain't gonna talk bad about brother. Wait, no, I'm a lie. I'm just talk straight. And if it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. DJ Akademics said that these old rappers are dusty, and I'm not quoting him, but he said something about the old dusty rappers, which to his point, some of them might be looking dusty. And they might, as he said, have been only looking out for themselves. But the point that him disrespecting somebody who actually gave him an opportunity to have the platform that he has is where I find issue in. Because quite frankly, your opinion can be stated in a way that you don't have to disrespect them. But at the same time, especially seeing that they kind of gave you the opportunity and allowed the opportunity for all of us to kind of live off this hip hop stuff, And so with that being said, like I can understand what he's saying, but what I would say to him and Akademics, I'm talking straight to you right now, is come up with the resolutions. You said today on the Breakfast Club that you want to continue to have the conversation because it was a full rounded conversation. He just took a clip of what you said, albeit I get that. But what you said as well was disrespectful, which you agreed to. And even if you felt that way and you came disrespectfully, all I'm challenging you to do after you disrespect, come up with a resolution. So, all right, these guys look dusty. So, all right, these guys are not passing down the information to the young guys to where the young guys can respect it. You are actually doing exactly what you told and saying why the reasons they are coming at these young guys, because respect is it's supposed to go two ways. Yes, they should respect the young guys, but yes, the young guys should respect them. And in fairness, there has been a lot of disrespect between the older generation and the younger generation. But also, in fairness, that has been going on for the life of us. There has been before hip hop, when it was just the Harlem Renaissance, the older generation and the younger generation was beefing with each other. Uh, before in slavery, the older generation and the younger generation was beefing with each other. So we get that is a disconnect often because of course the older generation think they know what to do only, and the younger generation has new and inventive ways of doing it. So we can respect the fact that they got new and inventive ways of doing it, and embrace that, and they can respect the fact that we have done it and embrace that. We can find a synergy to where we all can live, where we all can have benefits. Because Chaos One says something big that was incredible. He said, yo, I got robbed by a black man when I first got signed. He said it wasn't anybody else who signed me who was into hip hop when I came on. He said it was actually brothers that I looked up to that I thought would guide me and give me some tutelage and look after my best benefit, who took advantage of me. And I was like, wow, because that happens so often. And that's kind of what unfortunately we go through. We're going through the fact that we don't trust each other for nothing. We don't trust each other for nothing. And so therefore it's hard to extend courtesy to each other. And courtesy goes a long way. You and I was just listening to the story between you and Rick Ross, B, and what I found incredibly encouraging is that y'all came at each other with respect and courteous and a courtesy towards one another. Y'all were very respectful, and so the conversation grew in a natural design and a natural direction. Now, if either of you had a chip on your shoulders and was like, I'm the man, what you do, or I'm the man, what you do, that conversation would have went a whole different direction. And so I gotta commend and highlight when two brothers come together from the standpoint of respecting each other, even though they don't know each other.
Yeah, that's definitely what it was, B. And like when you're really an entrepreneur, that's a person about life, you don't have no choice but to do research by default, just on anything, that's in the lines of just that life. You know what I'm saying? And they talked about him for so long, and then you got the rapper that's coming along using his name, that Marvel using his name, that they created even a more hype to him. You know what I'm saying? So, like you can only stand out to respect somebody to take, somebody that did so much trailblazing to the point where somebody actually want to make his whole identity him.
Wow.
So, I couldn't do nothing but take my hat off, to the brother, man. You know what I'm saying? Along with attention to, everything that he stood for, and then doing that, it kind of like humbled me, because when I found out, how much opportunity he was creating for people to just immediately come home from prison, man, that is priceless, bro. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the only way I know that most of us do that is to help give somebody some money, a car, or some more motherfucking drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, here's an opportunity, bro. Figure it out. You
know
what I mean? But this man gave a legal way, not only a legal way to where you've been punished by, to be not only reported, but given an opportunity to create life for anybody that's attached to you. Come on, man. Like, he's doing way better than I could have ever done. He created something way better than I could have ever created. You know what I'm saying? At this time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still working on finding ways for my people, to bring this life. You know what I'm saying? But it's just really, hard, because I don't have, they ain't legalized, but fuck, I went to jail for yet. You know what I'm
But you know what's interesting when you say that? It doesn't to me, I never really was I never was intrigued by the fact of what it was that you or him were able to build a legacy on, or build a business on, is what I'll call it. I was just intrigued with the fact of you being able to build a business and having the insight and the know-how on how to build a business at such a young age. You know, I know your story, and I kind of heard about his story, and you guys built a very significant business at very young ages, which to me was more promising than a lot of people who have these jobs as CEOs and these jobs as VPs of so and so, because you actually, if it was legal, you built a corporation. And it doesn't matter. That's what the bootleggers did, which many of these businesses and corporations are built and established from, is because they just took their bootlegging credentials and degrees and turned it and put it in a place where it was legal, and they were able to soar. And that's kind of what you're describing he's doing, and I know that you're working on as well. And I just want to say that don't get discouraged on not having the exact opportunity for the exact, but your business mindset is more valuable than probably many of these people who have MBAs, who have PhDs, who have a lot of different letters behind their name. I just got to tell you, respect and understand that B&B, those letters behind your name are just as powerful.
Yeah, and the way I've been able to create those bridges, Sean, you know what I'm saying? I've helped probably 6 brothers make their own book. You know what I'm saying? Help them get it published. You know what I'm saying? And in the process, and help one do a documentary. But like that's kind of like, and another thing, like I wanted to set the pace and set a trend for doing my own documentary and my book, because there's so many people that take stories like ours, you know what I'm saying, and actually benefit and have a great life behind it. You know what I'm saying? Denzel Washington played Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people paid a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, and got a lot of notoriety, and they're actually famous from it. You know what I'm saying? And my thing was, while we still alive, let's create a way to where we can benefit from our own story. You know what I'm saying? Instead of people doing our story, and then some situations people are still alive. You know what I'm saying? People that had stories done on them still alive and had to stand in line and take a picture who actually played the story.
Yeah.
No, let's do this ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Another person who I hope, you know what I'm saying, cultivate the mind and opportunity that's so gangster that didn't want to, you know what I'm saying, cross the threshold, because it's a gangster code that we live by. You know what I'm saying? From talking too much or just exposing, you know what I'm saying, different laws.
Yeah.
The way that we move, and that's Big 50. You know what I'm saying? A great friend of mine, like a sister to me, she's a sister to me. You know what I'm saying? And she told her story, and Remy Ma played her in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a great thing, and she's still alive, telling the story now. They talking about make her out of a superhero. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
This is what my trailblazers have been able to help cultivate and create. You know what I'm saying, for people like us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we can just start off with a book, turn the book into a little documentary or a movie, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we are selling. We're what's hot now. The black movies are killing everything on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody who's out there, I'll give y'all some tools on how to do that. Go to some of these schools, these film schools. I know out here in LA they have a couple of them. USC Film School is a great film school. Find some of these young writers and film students who are ambitious and have the drive. Don't look for specifically anybody. Look for people who have the drive that these gentlemen have had to be able to build their legacies and that corporations, because that's the one thing that I can say is common amongst all of the super successful people that I know, is that they have a work ethic that is unmatched. And so if you look for that in people, you can definitely and look for that in people, then look for the passion that they have. And that's why I say go to a film school and find somebody who has the work ethic and their passion is already there with film and television, because that's what they're in school for. So they're in school for a purpose. And so once you go there, you find one of them and then you share your story with them, and then you step back and allow them to make your short story come to life. And I know, B, you did that in a lot of different ways. If you want to share that, you can go ahead. You're breaking up. Yeah, I can hear you now. You was breaking up. Go ahead. Absolutely. And not to mention, right. And absolutely. Absolutely. And in addition, they have access at the schools, especially like USC. That's why I mentioned them specifically. They have access to not only great equipment, but they also have access to great teachers and professors who will help them along the way to make your film look equivalent to the films that are coming out on big screens and nationally today. So there's a lot of those students who came out of there, like God rest his soul. Whatchamacallit, man, John Singleton. He did it. He came from USC, and he actually wrote his story. Boys in the Hood was his first movie, but that he used all the resources of his school to help him be able to do that film. And that launched and propelled and launched his career. F. Gary Gray was another film student who used his resources from his school to do one of his first movies. And they're both now well-renowned, very established, film creators. One has passed, which is John Singleton. The other one is still with us, F. Gary Gray. But those were two ambitious students that really used their resources from their schools that they had to launch their careers. And you got a lot of those type of students who are in those schools right now. And it's up to us to kind of identify those who have that compassion and being able to give them a story that can be compelling to them, that they can bring to light. You're on mute. So yeah, so that was go ahead.
Yeah, well said.
Man. So yeah, so that's just basically and B, you have an incredible story, and I can't wait for it to be told in a lot of different ways. I want it to be theatrical simply because you can expound on it. Like, for example, some of the stories that the BMF story, for example, is now it became a theatrical story, and that story has now, because of 50 was genius what he did. He didn't make it a motion picture. He actually made it into a series, so that all he had to do was put emphasis on one character and stretch that character out for a season and segue the next character into season 2, segue the next character into a whole nother series. And if we understand that principle, it's kind of like in the music industry, getting a single and having that hot single turn into an album deal, having that hot album deal turn into a production deal, having that production deal turn into a distribution opportunity. So now you are now able to distribute all of the up and coming artists that are coming out behind you. Like, you know who was genius at that was Jimmy Iovine at Interscope. When I was working there, his formula for everybody who don't know, what he did is he highlighted and he understood the producer was a valuable entity. So he empowered the producer. He gave every producer, he started out with Death Row, then he gave Dr. Dre his own label, which was Aftermath. He said Dr. Dre found this little white boy named Eminem, and he put him under Aftermath. And what Jimmy told Dre is, all right, well, when we sign him, we got to give him a label so that he's empowered because he also produces. So they signed him and gave him Slim Shady. Slim Shady found this other rapper named Curtis Jackson, or 50 Cent as we know him. And he was like, he signed 50 under, now get it. Aftermath distributed Slim Shady. Slim Shady signed and distributed Eminem and Slim Shady. Slim Shady signed and distributed 50 Cent G-Unit. G-Unit signed, distributed, and the process went on and on and on. So they basically empowered each of the artists and made them all an entity within themselves. He also did it with Will.i.am. He signed Will.i.am as an artist. No, he was a producer. Gave him a label, and Will.i.am started his music career. So it was really a design. It wasn't by accident. It was actually a formula, and I'm sharing this formula and these jewels because I was directly there and part of it, because this is how the rich came richer in that situation. Woo-wee!
It's sad that they can't see that, man. And it's like a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? And it's so easy, especially when you're somebody like Eminem. It can be anybody that's hot. You know what I'm saying? And you can use your platform to blow the next artist up. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
The next artist can sign X person, and then y'all can use those two platforms to blow that artist up.
Right.
So it's really a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? For it, but it's just unfortunately like nobody can see the forest before the trees, and everybody, the society got us thinking so selfish right now. So it's hard to get there.
And B, what you said, it's a no-brainer to you because that's what you did naturally. But you got to realize, Dre didn't know that. Dre didn't understand that. Eminem didn't understand that. They were taught that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't by their choice that they got the label. It was by Jimmy's choice. He was like, nah, I don't just want to sign you. How about I give you a label, and I'll give you the power, the resources, and the know-how to where you can start your own label. And that was his vision that helped. And it's similar to what you said, but you got to realize that's why I'm sitting here giving you the props and honor as a pioneer, because that vision is not a no-brainer to the average person. Had it been anybody else, they would have been going for their own, and everybody wouldn't have been millionaires up under you. They would have been warring with each other, trying to keep their millions. So I only say that because sometimes your brilliance you don't really recognize because you're in the thick of it, and what's simple to you is foreign to others. I admire people who can speak Spanish only because I don't know how to speak Spanish. But it ain't nothing brilliant to them. But to me, it's brilliant because I don't know how to speak Spanish. They like, yo, I grew up this way. I didn't even have to go to school for it. Just natural. And I'm like, amigo, I'm trying to learn it. So I say all that to just basically highlight and identify that it's not that people have the brain, or their common sense is not your common sense, basically, is what I'm saying. And I say that because it becomes so common to you that you just sometimes, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying us as a people, it's so common to us that sometimes we don't recognize that it might not be common to other people. And it might even get frustrating to us, like, yo, how don't you know that? But the truth is, they just haven't learned it. No one taught them it. And the funny thing is, I use Dre as an example He had been through it with Easy, with Lonzo and them, with the World Class Wrecking Crew, with Easy and NWA, because NWA before it was signed to, before they was the group with Ice Cube, it was a group on Macola. So they had been through it several times and still hadn't mastered it. It wasn't until he actually found Eminem when he actually started to get the understanding or the aha moment. And that was after Death Row. Because with Aftermath, you know, it was, he was about to, it was about to be over for Dre. I was working with Dre after Aftermath was launched. First album, I took him on his tour for the Aftermath album. Although it went platinum, because all of the other successes that Death Row had that he had on Death Row, Snoop and Tupac and so on, it was looked at as a failure. And the whole industry was looking at Dr. Dre as a failure. And I remember a label that I was working with, I won't mention their name, had the opportunity to buy Dre from Jimmy for like $2 million. And they passed up on it, saying, he's washed up. This is how the Aftermath launch and the failure of that with the firm and what it didn't do, how it was looked at on the street and how Dre was looked at on the street prior to him finding Eminem. And this is the reason why I was talking about that dusty scenario that Akademics was saying, because everybody, if you have been up and falling down, you understand how and why it's so important to respect those people who might not be in a position that they once were. Because although they might not look valuable now, they might not be valuable or have the type of money that they had or have the type of success that they had, might not have understood that failure is going to actually, if you empower that failure, it will actually grow into something a lot more powerful because they have learned failure. I'll give you some great examples. 50 Cent. Technically, they gave up on him when he got shot up. He had How to Rob, and he was on was it Universal? He was on Sony. He was through Sony. And he got shot up, and they just basically called him out. And it was Eminem who gave him that opportunity after the industry was looking at him as a washed out has-been who, you know, had one hit, which was How to Rob, and they just basically wrote him off. And because of his endurance and him being at the bottom, so to speak, when he was in the hospital laid up and nobody was coming to see him and things of that nature, he was able to change his whole mentality and refocus and never want to get in that space again. Another example, Tupac. When he got locked up, man, his whole world was taken from him. People wasn't visiting him. They thought of him as a wash-up. Death Row gave him an opportunity, brushed him up and dusted him off. As they say, he was looked at as dusty. Dre was looked at as dusty. 50 was looked at as dusty, in other words. But it took somebody to take them under the wing and polish them up, give them that confidence and opportunity for them to become who they were. And it was a worthwhile investment. And it was only because the people who saw them didn't see them as dusty. They saw them as very valuable people who were just in unfortunate circumstances or who had a hard or who ran into a hard time. And they valued what they were and who they were, as opposed to what they thought they should have been. And that's why DJ Akademics, again, I'm coming to you to say, yo, that's not the way that you approach it. You dust them brothers off. You say, even if they are dusty, you don't tell nobody that they dusty in public. You might not even want to tell them. You just go ahead and you dust them off. You dust them off and you put them in a position to be able to position other people like they actually already positioned you. So academics, that's what I say to you. You don't call them dusty, you dust them off. And I just gave you 3 examples of people who were also looked at as dusty at one point in their career after they had been on the top. Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, and Tupac. All of them were at the top of their games. They ran into unfortunate circumstances, and to the industry looked dusty. But instead of somebody calling them dusty, they just Jimmy dusted Dre off, Eminem dusted 50 off, and Death Row dusted Tupac off. And they gave them a light and helped them and highlighted them and allowed them to grow into the superstars, the super duper stars that they are today. So that's for you, academic, and all those who agree or disagree with academic and why I feel a certain kind of way of what you said and what you did. It wasn't about whether it was true or not, which is what you're standing on. Yeah, it might have been true, but you don't go ahead and you don't kick a person who helped you get up when they're down. All right, with that being said, anybody want to join us? I got Mr. B&B. He's on Clubhouse right now. This is my first time doing Clubhouse, as well as with Instagram, as well as with YouTube, all at the same time with Straight Talk Leads to Straight Understanding. So Mr. B&B blessed us with his story. And if y'all don't know, again, he has been one who has dusted people off and gave them highlights the same way that he was just describing Rick Ross is doing with felons who are coming out from marijuana charges. And he's not looking at any of them as, none of them are looking at those brothers as dusty. They're looking at those brothers as very valuable entities and businessmen who all they need is another shot at business. Shoot, Donald Trump got another shot at business several times. And look where what he became, president of the United States. Arguably, one of the best presidents, depending on who you ask. You ask Republicans, he was the best. You ask Democrats, they want to call him dusty. I'm like, yo, value a person for what they're worth, not what you don't like about them. Look at what you like about a person, if you can find anything, and highlight that. Is what I share and what I spread and the love that I'm extending. So let there be love. This is Sean B. Subscribe, like, share. I'm trying to get all of these internet and social media stuff down pat. Subscribe, like, share, and we're going to go into the next topic. Miss Nia Long. Nia, oh mama mia, oh Nia. Now, Nia Long. For those of y'all who heard a story about me and Nia Long back in the day, yes, Nia did come over to my house. Yes, I was involved in a relationship. Yes, my brother told me years after she came to my house that she was attracted to me, and I did not know. And yes, she was somebody that I was extremely attracted to. As a matter of fact, I remember running around and we went to the store in her Jetta. This was before she was Nia Long, by the way, before she was in any movies. I was in high school and I was actually the I guess, star at that point. I was a rapper and signed to a major label. And so I was a star at that point. And she came over to my house and she was the best friends or a good friend of my brother's girl. And, you know, she was a great person. She was sweet. She was beautiful, as you all can see. And so I understood that. I saw that I was dumb, that I was, well, I won't call myself dumb because I was honoring my relationship. But yeah, I was dumb. But anyway, seriously, so she just ran into this situation with the gentleman, the coach, I don't even know how to say his name, who cheated on her. Ladies and gentlemen, cheating does not happen because or is not eliminated because of how hot a person is, or how popular a person is, or how famous a person is, or how established or well-renowned a person is. So while Nia was all of those things, the cheating didn't happen because of those things. And I probably couldn't even put the cheating on her. The cheating happened because of him. That was a choice that he chose. That was a choice of something he did. Now, for what reasons he did it, I don't know. For what he was lacking, I don't know. Obviously it was something though. Because although we see, and I see Nia as a beautiful queen, a beautiful woman, etc., I never was in a relationship with her. So I don't know what she offers in a relationship. I said again, I will say she was a sweet person when we met. It was a brief meeting, so I can't say if that was who she was or how she is all the time. Also, it was before she was Nia Long, the star and the celebrity. So I don't know. I've seen her since then, and I don't know if she knew me. She acted as if she didn't. After I saw her, I said, "Hey, do you remember?" And it seemed like she acted like she didn't. Either she was a good actress or she actually didn't. I think it was the first part. Maybe that's my ego that she was just acting. But the point being is that I don't know if she did. She acted like she didn't. That's to me a possible characteristic flaw. Why would you act that way and say nah and not say, "Oh yeah, I do"? You
No,
know,
let's not do that, Sean, because you still got opportunity. She's still looking for your kind. You're still a welcoming man.
woo. You know what?
Kill yourself. I ain't gonna let you kill yourself like that.
I'm glad you jumped in. Let's rewind that, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Nia, baby, 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 please, Nia. You're right. You're right. Wait, I'm fixing it now, Nia. I,
You can't put her up on a pedestal. There's nothing wrong with that.
uh,
You can't put her up on a pedestal.
you're right. You're right, Nia, baby, sweetheart.
Versus being the man that she aspired to have.
Oh man, there we go. Nia, baby, baby. I'm sorry. I'm single right now. You're single. Uh, why don't we trauma bond together? I'm just sharing this. I'm reaching out to you. We can trauma bond together. We don't have to. You already know my characteristics from way back then. I had a girl, and as beautiful as you were, I honored my relationship. I can still do that. I can still do that. Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. B&B. Thank you for catch. See, iron sharpens iron. This is what we was talking about earlier. Thank you, brother, for sharpening my iron. And back to you, Nia. Nia, baby, baby, please, baby. Let me tell you. Hold on. I'm putting on my romantic voice now. You don't have to hurt. You don't have to be in pain. He didn't deserve you. I'm just saying who you are is what I saw. I want to be reintroduced to that Nia that I met 30 something years ago. Before you was Nia Long, the star, the beautiful lady who came over and was so sweet and humbled, and we drove to the store together in your Jetta. And the sparks that were going on in that car for me is what I want to go on for the rest of our lives. So Nia, baby. No, but seriously, I am going to take heed to what you just said, because in all actuality, Nia was a very sweet girl when I met her, very humble, and I was very attracted to that. And it wasn't about her beauty because that was undeniable. It was about her character and her sweetness and her nice nature that really had me enamored about her or had me crushing on her, so to speak. Even though I did have a girl and I respected that, the reason that I was attracted to her was not because of her physical beauty, which was undeniable, but it was because she was a very sweet girl. She was very enjoyable, and I want to say this: I hope the industry didn't taint that. I hope this breakup, Nia, doesn't taint that because it's difficult for it not to. I've been through hard breakups. I've been through a lot of them, and yeah, it's difficult not to fall into, man, I ain't messing with them, and get bitter or get angry. All I would say is don't allow it to get you angry. Just understand your value, and it's not your loss, it's his loss. And that's just what it boils down to. Because the sweet young lady that I met, if you was, I'm sure you was shining that onto him. And if he wasn't able to receive that, it's not your loss, it's his loss. And move forward. We could trauma bond. I'll put that out there again. We can trauma bond. I'm hurting, you hurting. Let's hurt together.
Burned out. But then outside of that, though, man, like from a man's with a lot of women who know guys who, you know what I'm saying, have great women who still, you know, manage to, you know what I'm saying, go out and cheat, so to speak. Like sometimes, man, like a guy can lose himself. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make him an actual bad dude. You know what I'm saying? It just makes him a weak dude for the moment. Some women possess, I mean, most women possess, you know what I'm saying, a hidden kryptonite. Some people are just in tune with it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
you know, they might have ran into it at the wrong time, which made them compromise a great foundation and a great woman.
absolutely.
It make them a bad individual.
Absolutely. And let me reiterate that. But B, you taught me this, and I gotta call out some of my brothers on it. Because it's not about the bad individual, it's not about being bad or good or making a mistake. It's the point that we all have the opportunity to just be straightforward and honest. And right. And you made a point to me years ago that sticks with me to this day. You said, man, I know some of the most ferocious killers and gangsters, street cats that everybody's afraid of, but he go to his house and he afraid to tell the truth. And that to me was one of the most profound things that I live with and share with people to this day. It's like, how can you position yourself? And if you are men positioning yourself in that space where you feel you can't go home and be true to yourself as B shared it, then reevaluate yourself and strengthen yourself so that you can be true to yourself in whatever way you want to be true. I'm not saying having a bunch of girlfriends, anything wrong with that. It's actually, if that's what you do, that's what you do. My man here, he got several wives. But again, they are his wives and they all know what it is that he's about. He can go home and not have to and say, yo, I just met somebody. I've seen them do it. I just met somebody and they're interested and I'm thinking about, or I had sex with them, or I'm thinking about having sex with them. He can actually do that. And that's something that I admire about his relationship, because he is, you know, polyamorous and has several wives, but he takes care of them all. He's very communicative with all of them and very open and direct, which is why it's successful. And so men who want several women or want to go out and because I tell you, B, what you just said, Nia, had she been aggressive, might have been my kryptonite back then. I gotta admit that. Two people almost with my kryptonite, B. One was Nia, and the other one was oh, all right, cool. You coming over here? I'm gonna mute this one. Wait, you gotta mute your mic over here, B. On. All right. What up? Two kryptonites, bro. One was Nia Long, cause I'm telling you, I was honoring my relationship. But if she would have pushed up, I don't know how I would have reacted to that, quite frankly. I don't know that we wouldn't have been in my room trying to talk about things. Because I'm, you know, in honor of my relationship, I'm glad no, I can't say I'm glad. I didn't. Let's just say that. But the point is, she might have been my kryptonite. The other person who was almost my kryptonite, in the same building, in the same apartment, Holly Berry. Before Holly Berry, she went to go visit. I don't know if you know Jade, and there was a bunch of my homegirls who lived downstairs when Brett and I had our first apartment out in LA, and they lived downstairs together. And she went to go visit them. Yeah, I promise you, B. She came in. She had this guy with him, an older white guy. I just ignored him. I thought he was the chauffeur, somebody. It could have been her husband, and it didn't matter to me. I was in tune. I was like, whoa, because you got to realize, you know, usually everybody in the building. So when somebody come that's unfamiliar, you already on point with that. Like, oh, who that? But then when somebody like Holly Berry come and you like, oh, wait, who's that? I literally, I followed her I lived on the 4th floor. They lived on the 2nd floor. I got off the 2nd floor because they got off at the 2nd floor. I was going to my homegirl's house because I was like, all right, I could play it off. I'm going to my homegirl's house, not knowing she was going to my homegirl's house. So we all went to the same place. And she knocked on the door, and I was standing there with them knocking on the door. So they opened the door. Hey, Holly. Hey, Sean. And we all went in. They introduced me to her. I was like, wow, how you doing? Pleasure to meet you. You know, she was still with the white guy. I met him too, but he didn't matter. I met him, but he didn't matter. I was in tune. I was like, yo, she left. She left with guy. And I was like, yo, who is that? And mind you, I had a girl. But that kryptonite you just spoke about, I was a good guy. But that kryptonite that you just spoke about, boy, oh boy, it would have been, had they put that kryptonite in my system that day, I would have crippled. Had she said, hey, you live in this building too? Maybe we should exchange. Man, she would have been upstairs at some point. And my girl would have hated me for life. And guess what? I wouldn't have cared. I would have felt victim. I'm single now. And no, where she is, you know what's funny? To this day, she has had some challenging relationships. And it really is because now she understands what I was to her. And I sacrificed a lot for her. Like I would take her to work for me, and my job was doing shows. You know, so I would take her to shows or sometimes even have her come on tour, and she didn't really appreciate that I was doing that instead of, you know, entertaining the groupies. You know, I was the one being chastised when we had the tour bus and the girls would come on and be like, yo, I want to get with you, and doing crazy stuff. And I'd be the one sitting back. Oh, I was the cock blocker, basically. I wasn't the cock blocker, but I was the cock blocker. It's like, yo, shut. You know how somebody throw the pass to you and you fumble? Man. And so they were mad at me. And so I got home. I remember one tour specifically. I got home from the tour and she called me and she said, what's wrong with you? I said, yo, you sitting here questioning me? I said, I'm on tour right now and I'm getting chastised. I'm turning away pussy. And you calling me and getting on my nerves with this bull? You are I don't know what I called out her name very, very significantly. And she remembers it to this day. She's like, you called me, you cursed me out and called me this. I said, you didn't understand. I was out on the road. I'm sitting here looking at people don't showing me titties and butts and all of that. And I'm ignoring it because of you, and you calling, stressing me out. Talking about what you're doing and this, that, and another through your insecurities. And so to answer your question, to this day, she hasn't really been able to find a relationship like that. And I think some of her failed relationships are due to the fact that she's still trying to look for that type of relationship.
I'm on a conference with my friend. I'm gonna call you back, okay? But Benny, Tank is here, so I'm bringing him over there tonight or tomorrow, okay? Yes, my love.
So yeah, y'all. Okay, while he's on the phone, I'm gonna say these are some stories. All right. Let me see how long we've been on. We've been on about 56 minutes. All right, B, we've been on about 56 minutes. So I'm about 4 minutes in the way I gotta go. So that's what's up with Nia. I already spoke about academics. Thank you for sharing with me, because I put her on that pedestal and I tried to, and that's my bad. I do that sometimes. You know, I ain't perfect, y'all. I ain't trying to be perfect. That is one of the things that, you know, when I fall victim to. And Nia, I apologize if you're seeing this. But nah, seriously though, that's what happened with her. and that's the girl that was like my first love. Um, and to your point, I don't know exactly where she is. No, I actually we good friends, but what happens is at this point, because now I do this straight talk, I give her some straight conversation, and she just don't really want to hear it. She feel like I'm always on her because she be picking these loser cats. And I'm like, yo, didn't you learn from she done got married to a cat? Man. And I'm like, yo, didn't you did she now her husband was a very insecure slash yeah, yeah, yeah. And I and so when I remind her this, and she don't like me no more. She hate me right now because I sometimes remind her, I'm like, yo, you keep picking these losers. Why do you keep picking? And what she told me, she kind of feels guilty about what she did with me. And so she feels almost like she deserves what she's getting. And I'm like, no, you don't. You deserve to make some better choices and identify some good men because they are out there. But instead of picking some good men, because she's now a good woman, she's a great woman. She was a great wife. We don't get along that well, bro. We get along in the bedroom, but when it's outside of the bedroom, she still is still trying to control. That's really the key, the control. And you know what I realized, B? And this is off topic. I realized that I was raised by a single mother before I moved out with my pops. And believe it or not, what I find out, a lot of single mothers are controlling. And it's unfortunate because the reason why I feel they're controlling is because they couldn't rely on anybody but themselves. So they don't trust anybody but themselves. And so they overcompensate trying not to be hurt or not to be abandoned again by controlling everything or trying to control everything. And then when a good person come into their life and try and give them some direction and or some balance, they don't always aren't able to recognize it or aren't able to embrace it because they get a little scared about losing the control that they have had all of those years in raising their children. So that's what kind of happened. Yeah, that control, man. And the funny thing is, as leaders, and I've seen you do it, and I know I do it as well, we know how to relinquish control where necessary. When you good at something, we're gonna allow you to shine. We're gonna highlight you. We're gonna give you the tools to shine even better. And what we ask is that when we're in that same position, you just allow us where we're better at time. We're not, being a leader does not mean we are in control. Being a leader means that we know how to follow as well as how to give some insight on when it's necessary to leave or when it's necessary to be aggressive, so to speak, and when it's necessary to be passive. Hence the term passive aggressive that we are so often looked at as. Oh man. All right, but well, I've been on for an hour. I appreciate you joining me here on Instagram, here on yes, sir. What up, Big Mike? Here as well on Clubhouse, and I appreciate all y'all joining us here on YouTube and all that. So B, I'ma holler at you a little later. I see them crab legs are on and cracking. Chef B&B is humming, y'all. We're gonna get it together, Chef B&B. We ain't gonna tell y'all the rest right now. That's gonna be a little secret, but Chef B&B is going down. All right, well, Chef B&B, yep, with women in the news, Chef B&B and his naked guests. So Chef B&B Bang is coming at you soon. We are in the production stages, the pre-production stages, and you are going to see come to pass. Chef B&B. This is Chef B&B right here. As you can see, he loves cooking. He's over there cooking, and he also loves sharing insight, especially to women who might be. Yes, sir. You got to pull it up. So yes, we'll be having Chef B&B and his guest. So tune into that soon. All right, bro. I'm out. I love you, bro. I'll talk to you soon. All right, y'all. Clubhouse, we out of here. Love y'all too. Take it easy. And YouTube. Yes, I had to get in the dark. Love y'all too. I'm out of here. Facebook. Love y'all too. Out of here. Hope y'all was able to hear everything. Peace.